Well, a very warm welcome back to Classic Dirt Bike TV and welcome to the Westmoreland Motor Club's CCM Jamboree. Yes, hello once again and welcome back to Classic Dirt Bike TV as we take a look at some of the racing highlights from the two-day event at the Westmoreland County Showground, the 2021 CCM Golden Jubilee Scramble. Now, a full 2 days of racing at this event, and this of course is just part one of the Saturday's race programme. We expect to do at least 4 videos from the racing highlights of this particular weekend, and we're going to kick off with the very first race of the day on the Saturday, and this is the Clubman class, and as you can see the weather could not have been better at this event, so it looks like the Clubman class guys are all lined up and ready to go. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these riders are not, for some strange reason, listed in the racing programme, but we'll try and do our best to identify as many as possible as race 1 gets underway. Now, we know that number 11 there in second place is Cecil Pearson on that 600 Jap Scrambler. Looks like Cecil's made a very good start in that second place position. Now, of course, the lap scoring at this event over the course of the 2 days is being recorded electronically due to each and every bike having a transponder fitted, and every time the riders and their bike cross the finish line, their lap time and race position will be recorded. But as they come towards us, it looks like a very good start by the rider on the Suzuki, but Cecil Pearson still in second position. Number 77 there is also not listed in the programme on the 490 Micro machine, but it looks like it's the man from Northern Ireland, Cecil Pearson, number 11 on the Harry Stitt Jap Scrambler. This is a very special bespoke frame built by Harry Stitt from Northern Ireland, and Cecil has put his 600 Jap motor into the chassis. Now, these Jap engines, of course, are 1930s technology, built, of course, by the late great John Alfred Prestwich. And these engines, of course, are running on methanol and not your regular petrol. But this is a good ride so far by Cecil Pearson, number 11. Suzuki rider in second. Number 77 is in third, who unfortunately I can't identify, but he's doing very well on that 490 German Micro machine. Looks like he's now lining up a pass for that second place position. And in actual fact, it may not be a Suzuki, that yellow bike. It sounds and looks distinctly like an old TT 4-stroke Yamaha machine. But it's still Cecil Pearson, number 11, your race leader. This is, of course, just one of, I think it was about 6 or 7 Jap racers that Cecil brought over from Northern Ireland for this 2-day event. And of course, you will be able to see more of Cecil's Jap Scramblers coming up in future races here on my YouTube channel. And I'm sure that Cecil's doctor will be well pleased at seeing him racing on the track again after just having his recent heart bypass operation. But as long as his doctor doesn't watch Classic Dirt Bike TV, Cecil should be in the clear. But it still looks like number 13 in second place, number 77 on the Micro is in third, and I think that was an old Can-Am that was taking part there, just making his way through. But for somebody that said he was just going to take his old Jap Scrambler out to have a bit of a look at the sights. Cecil's doing very well on his machine. It looks like number 77 is now moved up into second place, and it certainly looks like he's making inroads into Cecil's lead. So we may see a bit of a challenge to this lead that Cecil has at the moment as we head towards the closing stages, but it looks like Cecil just maybe missed a gear there on that corner, but he's still in the lead of this first race of the day, the Clubman's race. Number 77 just coming into shot there is still in second position, but closing in on each and every turn. That yellow bike there, number 13, which I thought was a Suzuki, almost looks like it's an old 4-stroke Yamaha bike, but number 31 there on the CR250 Honda in fourth position as they all cross the line to begin their last and final lap of this Clubman's race. But it's still number 11, Cecil Pearson, and as you can see, number 77 on the Michael right up there with Cecil now, so it could be a good battle on this last and final lap, but it's still Cecil Pearson, your race leader, from number 77 on that 490 Michael. But this has been a fantastic ride by the veteran from Northern Ireland, Cecil Pearson, and looks like number 77 is going to have a go at Cecil on this last few turns of this final lap. But as they head to the bottom section of the track, it's still Cecil in command. Number 77 is trying to go in the inside, but Cecil pulls that Jap back to the front of the pack, so as they make their way round, it's still the slight advantage to Cecil Pearson. Number 77 in second place, and it looks like that number 13 bike on the CR250 Red Rocket has moved up to third, but there's just a couple of turns to go, and this could be a very good win for Cecil Pearson. So as they head towards the checkered flag, it's going to be a win for number 11, Cecil Pearson, with number 77 in second position. Okay, that brings us to the combined pre-60s, pre-65s and the pre-68s up to 350cc, and this of course is their first race of the day. So as they leave the line, quite a good collection of bikes in this particular class this weekend. It looks like Ricky Pedder has made a good start. Peter Hollinshead is in second position. It looks like the youngster Lewis Bell is in third as they come towards us. But it is indeed number 163, Ricky Pedder, on the Triumph in the lead, with Peter Hollinshead in second position. It looked like one of the Chell boys up there in third, with Lewis Bell in fourth as the rest of the riders start lap 1. And just going through there is number 457, that's Mickey Allen. Now the forecast for the entire weekend here at the Westmoreland County Showground was to be very good weather, so hopefully the dust won't get too bad as the weekend progresses. So as they continue on lap 1, it's still number 163, Ricky Pedder, on that beautiful sounding Triumph twin machine. As you can see, Ricky absolutely flying on that British made Triumph as he makes his way round to complete lap 1. And it looks like Lewis Bell is having a good scrap with Peter Hollinshead there for the second and third place positions, but as he comes round to complete lap 1, it's number 163, Ricky Pedder, who is your race leader. Second is Lewis Bell. Third is Peter Hollinshead on that SRM BSA. Now, in fourth position it's Liston Bell. And of course we have 3 different classes in this race, but they will be scored separately as they cross the finish line. But here's your race leader, Ricky Pedder, coming round to start lap 2. Now second is Lewis Bell. Third is Peter Hollinshead. Fourth now is Liston Bell. I think Liston's riding that 600 Jawa machine. Keith Best just making his way through on the CZ, and just coming through there is Lee Kelly on that lovely Rickman Jawa machine. But race positions on the track are still Ricky Pedder, number 163, in the lead, but it looks like Lewis Bell is closing in on Ricky Pedder's Triumph. I'm not exactly sure what Lewis is riding this time round. I think Lewis changes his race bike more often than he changes his underwear, so it's quite hard to keep track of what particular bike young Lewis is riding. But it looks like it could be his 600 Jawa machine, but then again I have known to be wrong in the past. But Lewis is doing very well here in second position. Of course, the entire Bell family are at this event this weekend. Both Lewis and Liston are riding, and of course Dad Mike Bell is riding also on his big BSA Gold Star. Peter Hollinshead just making his way through. Liston Bell there, number 98, the older brother of course of Lewis. I think that's Wayne Partington just making his way through on the CZ, and this rider here was riding a beautiful Rickman Batiste Triumph, and it sounded superb as it made its way around the track, but it's still Ricky Pedder who is being chased by Lewis Bell in second position. But this has been a good ride by Ricky Pedder, who's made the whole shot right at the start of this race, and he's held on to the lead thus far, but young Lewis looks like he's wanting a piece of that action in the pole position area, so he's challenging for that lead of this race. Now of course there was a packed programme of races over the course of the 2 days. There was 20 races here on the Saturday, and 27 races were scheduled for the Sunday, and of course during the Sunday you can see all the CCM races, which will be also coming up soon here on my channel. But as we look at Ricky Pedder still in first position, being chased by Lewis Bell, but Ricky Pedder still managing to keep Lewis at arm's length as they head their way round to complete another lap. Peter Hollinshead, number 454 on that SRM BSA twin. Once again I think that's Wayne Partington just going through on the yellow CZ machine. But here's the battle for first and second between Ricky Pedder, number 163 on the Triumph, and Lewis Bell, number 9, who's I think is riding that 600 Jawa machine. Now it's of course thanks to the Westmoreland Motor Club, who organised and did all the preparation for this event and laid out a superb racetrack for this full 2 days of racing. So well done to all at the Westmoreland Motor Club, and to all concerned for their huge efforts over the course of the 2 days. Now we're looking at the battle for third and fourth positions between Liston Bell and Peter Hollinshead. Now I think Liston's riding a 600 Jawa machine, and Peter of course riding that beautifully sounding SRM twin BSA machine. Peter of course has a nice collection of original CCM bikes as well. Although as they begin their last and final lap of this race, it's still Ricky Pedder with the slight advantage over Lewis Bell, number 9. And there's just about half a lap to go to the finish line, but Ricky Pedder having a quick look over his shoulder there to see where Lewis Bell is, but it looks like Lewis is going to have a go this time round and tries to cut down the inside, and but it's advantage now to Lewis Bell, but Ricky Pedder fights back and tries to close that door as they head towards the checker flag, but it looks like it's going to be a win for number 163 Ricky Pedder, and it's a good finish by number 9 in second position. That's Lewis Bell. Now it's going to be a third place finish for Liston Bell, and Peter Hollinshead is going to cross the line in 4th. Okay, that takes us quite nicely to the pre-68 over 350 and the pre-75 up to 250cc. Quite another good selection of riders as they leave the line, but it looks like James Thompson has made a good start, number 26 on that Rickman Jap Scrambler, but we have a couple of followers. I think that's Harry Stitt, who went down into turn 1 on the Jap. But as they make their way around the first 2 or 3 corners, it looks like everybody's now safely through, but keep your eye on number 111 there, Harry Stitt. He just dropped his bike, but he'll soon make his way through the pack. So as they come round to complete lap 1, here's your race leader from Northern Ireland, number 26, James Thompson, again riding one of those Cecil Pearson Rickman Jap Scramblers. Now, of course, these are just the racing highlights. We won't show you each and every race in its entirety due to trying to keep the video to a decent and manageable size, and if we did show every lap and every turn, we'd end up with a video possibly more than 6 or 7 hours long. So we'll try and just show you the highlights. So that's James Thompson just going through. That looks like it's Chris Winder in second position. Number 33 is John Griffiths. Number 44 is Adrian Lappin. Number 43 is Andy Cam, and there's number 111 Harry Stitt. Both those riders, of course, collided with each other into turn 1, but as they make their way round, it's still number 26 James Thompson who is your race leader, and it looks like James has got a substantial lead already, and young James is a very talented rider, riding one of Cecil Pearson's Jap machines. This, of course, is a 1960s British made Rickman frame with that lovely sounding long stroking methanol burning Jap engine in the chassis. And Cecil was telling me that he now has 9 of these Jap scramblers. I think he has about 7 Rickman Jap scramblers with another 2 Harry Stitt specials. Now we're looking at one of the CR250 Honda Elsinore riders, number 224, who unfortunately once again is not listed in the racing programme, unfortunately, but going very quick on that 250 LC. And just coming towards us is number 115, I think that's Nick Archer. So it's still James Thompson, number 26, your race leader, and remember seeing James in action in Northern Ireland a couple of years back, where he rode 5 different makes and models of motocross bikes on that single day, and almost won every single race on 5 different machines. So I'll give you an idea of just how talented this young man James Thompson is. We're taking a look at our second place rider, number 13, that's Chris Winder, of course, on his CR250 Honda Elsinore. And for me personally, Chris was one of the outstanding talents at this event over the course of the 2 days. Although it's still number 26, James Thompson, as he comes round to start his last and final lap of this pre-68 over 350s and pre-75s up to 250cc class. As you can see, the track in absolutely fantastic condition for this kind of classic racing. Number 13 again is Chris Winder. I do apologise for not being able to name number 224, as I don't have any details in the race programme of his identification. Number 44 there is Adrian Lappin from Northern Ireland, also riding a Rickman Jap. Number 43 is Andy Cam, who of course had that collision with Harry Stitt at turn 1 of this race, but as our race leader comes round to head towards the checkered flag, it's going to be quite a comfortable win for this man here, number 26, James Thompson, who I'm sure is going to take the win in the pre-68 over at 350cc class when he crosses the finish line. It looks like Chris Winder is going to take the win in the pre-75s up to 250. But this has been a cracking ride by James Thompson as he takes the checkered flag, but it's certainly Chris Winder who's going to take the win in that 250 class. We're looking at John Griffiths, number 33, and Adrian Lappin as they both cross the line on their Japs. Now that should bring us quite nicely to the pre-75s over 250cc. Another good lineup of riders for this particular class. It looks like everybody's good and ready to go. 5-second board is up. A downhill start, of course, at this Westmoreland County Showground racetrack. Trevor Calderwood looks like he's made quite a good start there in second position. But as they come towards us, it looks like it's number 4. That's Ian Buchanan, who's made a good start on that CZ machine. Number 44, Ben Butterworth, has also made a good start on his BSA. You remember we took a look at Ben's bike in one of the paddock videos. So as the riders make their way down the hill on lap 1, it is still number 4, but who's now been passed by number 264. That's Chris Chell on that beautiful Shenny BSA bike. So it's Chris Chell, your race leader. Number 4, Ian Buchanan in second position on the Czechoslovakian CZ bike. Looks like Trevor Calderwood is now in 4th position with Ben Butterworth in 5th on his BSA, but some very quick riders in this pre-75 over 250 class. So here's your race leader as he comes round on lap 2. It's Chris Chell on that Shenny BSA. Nice to see Chris back on his bike again. I think Chris had quite a bad accident a few years back, but as you can see, he's now back up to speed and fully fit riding his bike once again. So Chris is definitely in charge of this race at this point as he comes round to complete lap 2. Ian Buchanan there, number 4, is still in second position. Looks like Keith Ryson just making his way through. Number 117 there is Stephen Shuttleworth, just making his way over the hill on the left hand side there. That's number 180, that's Archie Baird on the 3L CZ racing machine. Number 43 there's Andy Malik just going through, and number 60 is Ian Grout on that CCM. But it looks like it's still at number 264, Chris Chell, who is your race leader. Ian Buchanan at number 4 is still in there in second position on the CZ. Third position I think is number 266. I think that's Keith Rice. Keith's also riding one of those Czechoslovakian CZ bikes, which appear to be extremely popular these days with classic racers. It's certainly a lot of these old Czechoslovakian CZs going around these days, but we're taking a look at our race leader, young Chris Chell, number 264, on that lovely Shenny BSA. I think that's the old BSA B50 engine that's powering Chris's machine. Number 32 just going through there is Trevor Calderwood from Northern Ireland, and just making his way through there, I think that's number 18, I think that's Simon Doughty. But this has been a good ride by Chris Chell. More or less got the whole shot at the first turn, so he's still in command of this pre-75 over 250cc race on his Shenny BSA. Chris is just crossing the finish line to begin his last and final lap of this pre-75 over 250s race. Chris looking good for his first win of the day. Now don't forget, you will see all of the remainder of the races from the Saturday's race programme coming up in part 2 here on my channel, so make sure you retune to take a look at that. As we look at number 32, that's Trevor Calderwood from Northern Ireland, just making his way through on his CZ machine. But here's your race leader as he comes round to take the checkered flag. It's been a very good ride by the youngster Chris Chell, number 264, as he comes round to take the checkered flag and his first win of the day in the pre-75s over 250 cc class. Number 4, Ian Buchanan. It looks like he's crossing the line in second position. Okay, next up on the race programme, it's the pre-1978 class. Some of the quite big machines in this particular class. Looks like they're all good to go as they leave the line. Looks like it's quite a good start by number 33. I think that's Peter Williamson, who's riding that 400 or possibly even a 440 German Michael machine. But it certainly does look like it's Peter Williamson, your race leader, and we'll pick up a few of the other riders as they make their way around the racetrack. But another quite good gaggle of riders for this pre-78 class. So as our race leader comes towards us, it's number 33, Peter Williamson, who is in first position. Second, number 785 is Craig Hunter in second spot. Number 153 just going through there, I think that's Andrew Savage, who's riding that quite nice looking 4-stroke CCM. But on lap 1 it's still number 33, Peter Williamson, who seems to have quite a decent lead over second place man. I think that's Craig Hunter, number 785 in second spot. So as Peter comes round to complete lap 1, he's certainly made a good start on that German-made twin shock Michael. Looks like a 1980 model from where I'm sitting. Number 785 is in second position, that's Craig Hunter. Number 8 is Lee Davis, and now you may remember that's that lovely looking Hagen Yamaha that Lee Davis is riding. Quite a rare bike with that alloy, full alloy frame. So it looks like it's still number 33, Peter Williamson, who's your race leader, but I think number 8, Lee Davis, has now moved up into second spot on that big 4-stroke Hagen Yamaha. You may remember we had a look at this bike during my paddock walkabout, that Hagen square box section alloy frame, a lovely piece of engineering. And I always like how the tank, it looks like it's actually separate from the frame, but it's actually an integral part of the whole chassis. But a lovely looking bike, and as you can see, pretty quick on the racetrack as well. And just in case you're interested, we will take a much closer look at this bike in a future video here on Classic Dirt Bike TV. It looks like Craig Hunter here, number 785, is in third, with number 153 just going through there, Andrew Savage in fourth position. And just making his way towards us now is number 45, that's Alan Hardy. But it looks like it's still number 33, Peter Williamson, who is your race leader. Now I've had a bit of a closer look at this bike, and I think it looks more like a 1978 or possibly even a 79 Michael. Now, of course, I had a 1980 440 machine myself, and it was a great bike to ride, but certainly not as good as the older 78s or 79s that Michael made. But Peter Williamson is your race leader here, number 33. Now, second place is number 44. I think that's one of the Bethel boys, who unfortunately is not again listed in the race programme. Number 29 coming towards us is Keir Tet, riding that big Alan Clues 4-stroke CCM machine. So we're picking up our race leader again. It's still Peter Williamson, who doesn't look like he's going to be challenged for this lead of this race. He has quite a comfortable lead now over second place man. I think it's still one of the Bethel boys, number 44. So Peter comes round to cross the line to start his last and final lap of this pre-1978 class. Now, over the course of my next few video postings, you will be able to see every single race that happened here on the Saturday, and of course on the Sunday's race programme I filmed every race up until race 20. Now, there was 27 races on the Sunday, but unfortunately I had to leave before the end of the race meeting, but you will be able to see every race from the Sunday up until that race 20. So we're taking a look at Peter Williamson, number 33 on the Maiko, who has more or less led this race from the start as he comes round towards the checkered flag. So this has been a very good ride by Peter. Looks like he's going to be unchallenged for this pre-78 class race. So just a couple of turns to go as Peter heads towards the checkered flag for a well-deserved win. It looks like a second place man is going to be CCM rider, one of the Bethel boys there, and I do apologise for not being able to name his Christian name as he isn't listed in the race programme. Okay, that brings us to our penultimate race for this part 1 video from the Saturday, and this is the twin shock air-cooled 125s, little 2-stroke screamers, and some very quick little machines in this class as the riders leave the line to start lap 1. Now, looks like a good start by number 29. That's Mark Beatson on that 125 KX Kawasaki. Now, you may remember we took a close look at this bike in the paddock in my previous video. So, as you can see, it's a quite quick little machine on the racetrack as well. So, as the riders begin lap 1, it's number 29, Mark Beatson, your race leader. Now, second is number 288, who again is not listed in the race programme. Number 21 in third position is Ian Knight, who has started this race very well on his, what I think is a YZ 125 Yamaha. So as we pick up our race leaders on lap 1, it's still number 288, who is your race leader. Now at this point, it looks like it's still number 29, Mark Beeston. Looks like Mark's got a problem with that little KX. He's dropped down a few places, maybe missed a gear, but moving up to second position now is number 21, Ian Knight. But he is your race leader, number 288. Looks like number 18 is Aaron Dent, and I think Aaron's in third position at this particular point. Aaron, of course, riding that CR 125 Elsinore, a very quick little bike as they cross the line to complete lap 1. Although it appears that this 125 two-stroke class is becoming very popular now these days, as we've only just recently introduced 125s into our Scottish classic club racing, and it's proving to be very popular with many of the riders racing these little screamers. So maybe if you have an old 125 that you'd like to make the use of once again, then just dust it down and get it back onto the racetrack. And so it looks like we've got a change of leader at the front. It's now number 21, Ian Knight on the YZ Yamaha, who leads at number 18, Aaron Dent, but it looks like Aaron's going to go down the inside at this turn and try and take that first position, but went a bit wide. But it looks like Aaron's got the line for the next turn, so it's now Aaron Dent, your race leader, but no, it's not. It's Ian Knight, your race leader. Oh my goodness me! Looks like Aaron Dent's dropped his CR125, so, and he was doing so well on that little Honda. So it's still Ian Knight, your race leader. Number 228 is in second position, and taking up third place. Looks like that's Andrew Hinchcliffe in third position, number 224 on the CR125 Honda. But Ian Knight just having a look over his shoulder there to see who the second place man is. But it looks like Andrew Hinchcliffe is on the move on his particular 125. So it's still Ian Knight first. Second place, number 288. Andrew Hinchcliffe, is in third position on the outside. So as all three of these riders cross the finish line to begin another racing lap, it's still Ian Knight who is your race leader, coming under increased pressure from number 224 Andrew Hinchcliffe, who now takes the lead of this race. So it's Andrew Hinchcliffe, your race leader on the CR125 Honda. Second is at number 21, that's Ian Knight. It looks like number 29 Mark Beatson has now moved up into third, with number 288 in fourth position. So we're looking at our new race leader, number 224 Andrew Hinchcliffe. This has been quite a good ride by Andrew. Never got the greatest of starts at the beginning of this race, but nevertheless he's certainly come through the pack, and it looks like he's in command of this twin shock 125 class race. So just a couple of more turns to go before Andrew begins his last and final lap of this race. Second place is still Ian Knight on the YZ Yamaha. Third is still number 29, that's Mark Beeston, with number 288 in fourth position as they cross the line to begin their last and final lap. So it looks like our unnamed rider, number 288, is now moved up into third position on that YZ Yamaha. Still riding very well, this rider. Once again, I do apologise for not being able to name the rider. It looks like Aaron Dent is back up and running once again after his little spill. But here's your race leader as he begins his last and final lap, number 224 Andrew Hinchcliffe. Very quick little bikes, these CR125 Elsinore Hondas. Looks like they're well suited to the twists and turns of this Westmoreland County Showground track. Number 21 in second place there is of course Ian Knight. This has been a good ride by Ian as well. Was riding at the front at one point, but Ian will certainly settle for a second position in this first 125 race of the day. So as they cross the line, it's a win for Andrew Hinchcliffe, with number 21 Ian Knight in second place, and number 288 is going to cross the line in third. Okay, that brings us to the final race for this Part 1 Saturday's action. This is the AMCA British Classic Championship, and this of course is race 1 of 2 that you will be seeing from the Saturday's race programme. And as you can see, a full field of riders for this British Championship round, but it looks like James Thompson and Chris Winder have made good starts once again. But as they come towards us, it's James Thompson on that Cecil Pearson Rickman Jap machine. Looks like Chris Winder is in second place on that CR250 Honda Elsinore, as the rest of the riders make their way through to begin lap 1. Now don't forget, you can see the remainder of the Saturday's race programme coming up in part 2 in the next video posting here on my channel, so please make sure that you subscribe to my channel in order that you don't miss out on a single race. And so as the riders begin lap 1, it's still the man from Northern Ireland, James Thompson, who is your race leader. It's Chris Winder in second position, and we're looking at Ricky Pedder, number 163, on that Triumph Twin. In fourth position, it looks like Harry Stitt on the Jap. Now, this bike of Harry Stitt is of course a frame that Harry designed and built himself, and a big 1930s big long four-stroking Jap motor in the frame, and as you can see, a very quick machine, number 111, the Harry Stitt Jap. Now here's the other Jap, of course. This one is a Rickman Jap Scrambler, number 26, James Thompson, your race leader. That's Chris Winder just going through there in second position. Ricky Pedder is still third. Harry Stitt is fourth. It looks like Lewis Bell is in fifth position, but currently moving up the pack. And as I mentioned, this is race 1 of 2 British Championship races that you'll see from the Saturday's race programme. Number 125 just going through there, that's Ian Stainton on that Clues Stroker. But it's that man again, James Thompson, who's already chalked up his first win of the day in a previous race here at the Westmoreland County Showground, and it looks like James has got quite a substantial lead over the rest of the pack, even after just 2 laps. But as you can see, quite a good crowd attending this event when you consider all the different restrictions around the country. But it's nice to get back racing, and it's nice for spectators to stand and take a look at this old style racing once again. But this looks like it's going to be another good ride by James Thompson, the man from Northern Ireland, on the Rickman Jap machine. In second position, it's still Chris Winder, who for me was one of the outstanding riders over the course of the 2 days, and he absolutely rode the wheels off that 250 Honda Elsinore. As we look at Lewis Bell just making his way through. Number 302 is Wayne Partington on the Czechoslovakian CZ. Although it looks like Adrian Lappin has a problem with his Jap Scrambler. In fact, we later learned that the swing arm on that bike had broken. But here's your race leader, number 26, James Thompson. James, of course, from Northern Ireland, and I hope to make another return to Northern Ireland in August to cover their 2-day charity scramble at Bangor. So I'm looking forward to making my way back over to the Emerald Isle in August. So it's another good ride here by James Thompson, number 26. It's still Chris Winder in second position, number 13. It looks like Harry Stitt is now up to third position. Ricky Pedder is in fourth, with Lewis Bell in fifth spot. And you just caught a glimpse there of legendary photographer Eric Kitchen still snapping away, taking pictures at these types of scrambles and trials events. And Eric has been taking pictures since the late 1950s, so you can just imagine what Eric's library of old scrambling pictures looks like. So it looks like it's still James Thompson with quite a decent lead over second place man Chris Winder, and of course this bike of James Thompson, a 600cc 4-stroke Jap single, and I think these old Jap engines are putting out about 70 horsepower at the rear wheel, which is quite substantial compared to Chris Winder's little 2-stroke 250. But it's still James Thompson, your race leader. There is Chris Winder just making his way through in second position. Harry Stitt is in third. Ricky Pedder is still in fourth, with Lewis Bell still trying to make inroads against Ricky Pedder's Triumph, and I think Lewis is riding a big single cylinder 600 Jawa machine. So it's still James Thompson, your race leader. And now again these old Jap scramblers running on methanol fuel and not petrol, and these can be quite thirsty beasties, these 600 Jap bikes. I think they can swallow a full tank of fuel in a single race, so they're certainly not economical, but they're certainly getting a return in terms of horsepower at the back wheel. And again, another interesting fact about these Rickman Jap bikes is they have total loss oil lubrication, whereby you fill the frame with oil, and then a little pump on the side of the engine pumps the oil around the engine, and of course the excess just drips out onto the racetrack. Not very environmentally friendly, but certainly these were the technology of the 1930s. So it looks like Ricky Pedder and Lewis Bell are still battling it out for that track position. It doesn't look like Lewis is managing to make that move on Ricky Pedder, but I'll tell you one thing, Chris Winder is certainly on the move and catching James Thompson on that Rickman Jap, so we could see a good finish to this race as we head towards the closing stages, because Chris has been quite a bit behind, but he's certainly got the moves on that little 250 Honda, so Chris is certainly going to be up there with James Thompson as we head towards the closing stages. So James Thompson will certainly be looking over his shoulder now, because it looks like Chris is closing in on each and every turn, and it looks like Lewis Bell has now moved up into third position and just got ahead of Ricky Pedder, and it looks like Harry Stitt is sitting there in fourth. But there you can see he is visually closer now, Chris Winder, as we pick up our third placed rider, which is now Lewis Bell. Ricky Pedder now down into fourth position. So this has been quite a good ride by Lewis Bell, and Ricky Pedder putting on a bit of a slide there at that last turn, but this has certainly been a good ride by Lewis Bell, number 9. Now when these riders come up and cross the finish line, they will be starting their last and final lap of this first AMCA British Championship race. As we take a look at third placed rider, number 9 Lewis Bell, number 163 is Ricky Pedder. But here's the battle for the lead, and it looks like Chris Winder is certainly going to have a go at James Thompson in the closing stages of this race. And this has been a fantastic ride by Chris Winder when you consider the horsepower disadvantage that Chris has over James Thompson's 600 Jap, when you consider that Chris is basically riding this 250 two-stroke Honda machine. But as they head down the hill for the last half lap, it's still James Thompson with Chris Winder going down the inside. And it looks Chris Winder's got the advantage, but James Thompson closes the door once again. So as they head towards the last 2 or 3 turns, it's still James Thompson with the slight advantage over Chris Winder. But Chris Winder's certainly not finished at this stage. So as they come to the last but 2 turns, it's Chris Winder who's going to dive down the inside, and this could be a fantastic win for Chris Winder on the CR250, and it's a win for Chris Winder with James Thompson crossing the line close by in second position. But what a fantastic ride by these 2 riders, and as you can see, they stop to shake hands in true motocross rider style. Well, I do hope you enjoyed that part 1 footage from this Saturday, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and retune to see more racing action from the Westmoreland County Showground in part 2.